wooing. Okay, I got a woo, I'll take it. All right, so welcome. My name is Sarah Cawley. I am the Community Engagement Coordinator here at the Great Falls Public Library, and I am thrilled to be here for another Armchair Traveler Series. Armchair Traveler is intended to bring us around the world or throughout the states and bring us to different locations to show us the fun and interesting things that are in the world around us. Some of us might be able to travel regularly, some of us might not be able to travel at all for whatever reasons those may be, so we bring it to you, and it's pretty fun. Part of the series this year is also all of the food that you guys are enjoying. This series is sponsored by the Great Falls Public Library Foundation, and we'd like to thank them for their support of all of the things that we do here. The food is always going to be based off of where we're traveling to. The people who are doing the presentation tell me either what they ate most, what they thought about most, or a food that they saw in like the locations that they were in. So all of the inspiration comes from the talk itself. Based on that information, you're never going to guess where we're going today, okay? Because we're eating stir fry. So it is going to be a pretty fun adventure today. I have my friend Cortney Reedy here. She is going to talk about a little plan that had no plan, and she was just going on vibes. That's what she said, not me, so we're going with it. So it's going to be a fun little adventure, and I don't think anybody truly knows, maybe you guys know where we're going tonight, because you guys know Cortney.
And you know I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Jessie. But we're gonna take a little adventure all together. So Cortney, if my phone wants to work, Cortney grew up traveling and thought it was weird when other families didn't move every 2 years like she did. She lived in mostly boring places as a kid, but living in Jamaica did liven things up for a couple of years. She traveled with the military and for work, but as of late has been gaining experience in solo travel. Her first stop was New York, and she only built off that experience with more unique opportunities. Jet boating in Class 6 rapids at Niagara Falls. Anyone do that? And this is just another unique experience that people seem to love or hate. Cortney Reedy is also the education coordinator over at the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center and has been there for many years. She is also a winner of the Gifford Pinchot Interpretation Award given by the U.S. Forest Service every year, which is, in fact, one of the most prestigious interpretation awards that is within the outdoor education field. So I am very proud of her for that, and I think that that is absolutely incredible. And without further ado, please join me in welcoming Cortney to the stage.
Thank you, Sarah. Gosh, I feel a little embarrassed to start speaking after that. But yes, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Sorry, I need to stay still, but I tend to move, but I forgot I'm being recorded tonight. So this is just like a fun little prompt that kind of came up when I was putting all this together. And side note, it was made by AI. So this is the only thing that AI did make, but as you know, I started talking about things, it kind of offered the suggestion, and I thought, how relevant, TSA travel alert, attention passengers. Imagine if we saw this when we came to TSA instead of the typical list of recommendations, do's and don'ts. Attention passengers, you are now entering a high-risk zone for impulsive travel behavior. Please be advised. All emotional baggage must be checked at the gate. Carry-ons may include curiosity, courage, and one slightly irrational decision, or a big one. Liquids over 3.4 ounces of regret are prohibited. No itinerary, no problem. We encourage reckless spontaneity, right? You expect that from TSA. And boarding passes may be replaced with vibes and a vague sense of direction. So, welcome to, maybe, oh, here we go. Adventure level extreme, travels of a life list. So this is kind of what I called this section, this portion, this trip that I had. I called it adventure level extreme because I had no other name, no other way to classify what happened. So how did I end up in the airport asking the customer service agent to get me on the first flight out of Salt Lake City? I knew if I went to the Great Falls Airport, I knew I'd end up in like Denver, Salt Lake, Seattle. So I had to go to a hub. I had to go to something bigger than that. So before all that, hark back to 2020. You were there, I was there, time of despair. It was a tough time. You know, for everyone, of course, for many reasons, the deaths that happened, all the things, but also, I mean, for me, not being able to travel. And it's interesting how quickly your opinion and your views change of things when it's taken from you, when it's forcibly taken from you. And that's what it felt like for me in the pandemic. I had options, now I had no options. So, when that happens, self-reflection, at least that's what happened for me as an introvert, that is, she doesn't like the fact that I say that I'm an introvert. She clearly thinks I'm an extrovert because I'm out here talking to people and as a job. So after going through the stages of grief, of course, not being able to do all the things, I made a life list. So a life list is different, I mean, mostly entitled from a bucket list. So a bucket list is what they would do. Typically, that's when you, hi, come on in, friends. I promise. Okay, I'm not going to stay still. Sorry, this is just not going to happen. So you know, like when they would hang people, right? How they would hang them, and then they would like kick out the bucket that they were standing on, right? Kicking the bucket. That's where that comes from. That term. I can go on and on about things like that. Rule of thumb, an awful one too, but. That's where that term comes from, and I think it's terrible. So it didn't resonate with me, and if I'm going to be spending, basically my life list has a date, 2035, you know, to keep things honest. If I'm supposed to accomplish all these places and experiences, and it's going to be with me for decades, I want it to be something positive. So I made a life list instead. So this is some of the things that I've done since then. So, of course, you already heard, New York solo trip, you know, solo female trip, that was fun. That is Iceland. We went to Iceland on a bus trip. If you saw the most recent Iceland trip, he gave Iceland a C+. I cried when we left Iceland. I'm like, oh, my people. So, I had a very different experience, so, as that tends to go. But this was like the one beautiful, glorious night that we had. Otherwise, it was a lot of clouds and kind of not looking hope for northern lights. And then the far right, does anybody know what the beautiful?
New Zealand.
So we did go to New Zealand earlier last year, but that is actually stateside.
Oh.
Crater Lake, yep, Crater Lake. So when they had that solar eclipse, where it was just the ring, that's where I went to. I did that there, and with like hundreds of other people. So this one was, as I mentioned, I call it Adventure Level Extreme. So, Adventure Level Extreme was basically just spending 5 days in the unknown, coming to the airport. So how do you prepare? How do you plan for somewhere unknown, right? Like how do you pack for that? So, as some of you know, some of you don't know, I'm a minimalist, for sure, by trade. And I like to call this the might of minimalism, just because you can do the amazing things. Even when we went to Iceland, we took that. I took that. When we went to New York, I took that. Yeah, I can't think of a place I would go not taking those things. It's just a backpack, one of the bigger ones of Osprey. And then that's actually a cooler bag. And the irony is, when I was traveling, I actually saw some other folks had a similar bag too. So it's actually a zipper and expands and will let you get a little bit more weight. So that goes under my seat, that goes above my head. I do have like roll up plastic bags, you know, that you can put your clothes in and roll them up. Don't need a vacuum. So that's how I can get a little bit more mileage for that space. But you pack a little bit of everything and you don't have much of anything. So total, I spent $670. I planned for $1,000. I already had a trip to New Zealand that, you know, New Zealand's not exactly known for being cheap, and it's not, but it's wonderful in all the other ways. And I did have another trip after this planned to Niagara Falls. So I had some pretty tight budget constraints. I did plan for $1,000, but I spent less than that. Is anybody curious as to how?
Yeah.
She is the voice of the audience. So, you know, I had 80,000 flight miles. It's true. See, it makes sense, right? When I talked to the customer service agent, she said 30, 40,000. This was, you know, back in September, so it could be different now, inflation and things. 30 to 40,000 will get you anywhere in the States. Stayed at a hostel, $184. How many of you would stay at a hostel? Okay, some, okay, good. Took public transportation, I had a Starbucks gift card. I read recently one gal it was a travel book. She at one point had more money on her Starbucks account than she did in retirement, and that made me cry on the inside. And I'm still satisfied by that, so I'm just sharing that with everyone now. I did bring snacks because I do have food sensitivities, so that of course was important for me. I layered parks into paid experience, so not everything involved an admission fee. Souvenirs, you saw my luggage, right? Like, it's not like I'm getting a rug in there. There's no bottles of booze, you know, like there's very limited things I could bring. And I'm a veteran, so I do ask for discounts too. So those are some of the hacks. But also in general, I'm just kind of a frugal person. See, right? Yes. So probably very not PR correct. Me and my husband say we're ballers on a budget, so I'm sorry if I offended somebody, but just putting that out there too. Side hustles, blood donation's not a thing. My ferritin's too low now, but I do have a part-time job. Credit card rewards, birthday, holiday gifts, refunds, literally money on the ground. I found like $1 at Home Depot. That goes to my travel fund. No subscriptions and free hobbies, right? All the things, because most of my money goes to travel, because I like to travel. So I landed in Salt Lake at 7:25, and I was the second to last person to board the flight for an 8 a.m. departure. And truthfully, one of like the most challenging parts of this encounter, I mean, outside of like the nervousness of where am I going, what am I doing, am I crazy, who would even let me do this? Like, what kind of husband would let their wife do this? Just kidding, he's a wonderful man. But honestly, one of the hardest parts was just going up to a customer service agent and telling her what I was doing. And she's like, where do you want to go? I'm like, great question. You know, you pick. What? You know, like it was a lot of back and forth. But once she finally got on board, she did give me these options. So those of you that know, don't say anything, but we'll guess. Because, you know, I like audience participation. Who thinks I ended up in Austin? Really? Okay, wow. Have you all been talking? Orlando? Okay. Portland? Okay, a couple, few, okay. Sacramento? Okay. Portland. And for that, agent actually was very happy to be sending me there. She's like, oh, Portland's fun, we'll enjoy it. I'm like, okay. I've heard questionable things, right? I had never been there, never been to Portland. I mean, that was also a hard part too, was that she would list off some places and I would try not to give my reviews of, I don't want to go there. You know, like I've already been there, I don't want to do that, that's boring, right? So in the end, luckily it did end up starting out with that. So I did stay in a hostel. Ironically, if you ever plan one of these trips, just be careful when you're in the airport and trying to find a place to stay. Because I initially booked a room in Portland, Maine. And I had to immediately call them back and say, sorry, I need to cancel because I'm going to Portland, Oregon, or I'm in Portland, Oregon. They're like, oh, it happens all the time. I don't think she meant like that, but just like the cancellations. So there's a lot of new experiences with this. I've never stayed in a hostel before. So that was also a new experience for me. I've been in dorm rooms, you know, been in plenty of shady motels, but not a hostel, right? And the interesting too, this was a co-ed hostel. So guys and girls slept all in the same space together. So For me, I actually stayed in this top bunk right here. And so it was actually one of the most comfortable beds I've ever stayed in.
No.
And ironically, I think that this hostel set the bar really high because it was one of the quietest places I've ever stayed in. I only heard an alarm one night, and I only heard a little bit of snoring one night. And I know there were people there because I saw their shoes at the door. So I know there were people, but I just never heard anything. It was so quiet. I was like, I was the one making noises with my crinkly little plastic bags. But yeah, so very comfortable. I never at any point felt in any danger, at least in the hostel, you know, this is Portland. So this is the lobby that you came into, and they had the desk where you could stay, and they had normal rooms too. And then they also had a cafe that was in there, and then they had this beautiful like rooftop place too, where people could take their food, or if you happen to be staying there, whether in the like hotel side or the hostel side. That was delightful. There was a pretty bad fire going on when I was there, so that wasn't great, but. The first day was kind of my freak out day, you know, as expected when you end up somewhere, you know. You're like, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? Am I crazy? What am I seeing? So I did spend a lot of time, especially initially in the waterfront park here, just because obviously my job is nature-based. I'm very nature-based or obsessed, depending on who you talk to. So that, for me, was a place where I spent a lot of time kind of planning the rest of it. I also had a great team. Of course, there were people who were like, what are you doing? Text us when you get there. I tell them, and then they were super helpful and like prodding me, pushing me forward. So it is good to kind of just look too that there is like, in Portland, I would spend quite a bit of time in the Washington Park, the Test Garden. There's a lot to see actually in Portland comparatively. Tuesday, first stop, the Test Garden. Has anybody been to Portland? Okay.
What time of year were you there again?
September.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Right? It's random, right? Like, So it was, this was really pretty. I didn't realize there's like only 12-ish sites in the world, or at least in the States, that do these test gardens for commercial use. Different smells, shapes, sizes, colors. A friend of mine, when they saw this, they're like, that's a rose? So yeah, huge variety there. And you just are walking around kind of at your leisure. It's all free, open to the public. So that was really a nice way to get out there and involved. The World Forestry Center, of course, as a Forest Service employee, I gotta go there, right? Look, there's Sasquatch. They had a special exhibit about him. Yeah, I would have done, right? Of course, in Portland, right? What I did find interesting with this was that I feel like on the western side it's kind of like this, ooh, you know, like it can be dangerous, Sasquatch that is, you know, it can be mysterious, but a lot of cultures, especially a lot of nations, believe that they have a powerful spiritual presence. And they just have a very different perspective that I didn't recognize until I went through the exhibit, and it gave me a different perspective and feel for kind of the Sasquatch, Bigfoot experience. So that was fun. Of course, Chicago Whale was there. Imagine I found her in the park too. Spent a lot of time.
Does she just point wherever she
Yeah, she does. She's trying to help me out. Don't try to help me. And then of course the park, they had redwood trees there. I mean, just a huge park that's there. I spent a lot of time there, which was a good place to start. It was very warm and comforting. I'm glad I knew I was going to be doing this presentation because then I took photos of things I don't normally take photos of. And so this is one of them. I was like, in Montana, we don't put up signs for coyotes, you know what I mean? Like, but it was interesting to see, you know, that they were all over the park there because clearly people seeing them, not sure how to interact with them. So it was just pretty funny to me to see things make noise, like, go away, coyote, you know, like, so stuff like that was fun. Of course, homeless. I mean, I definitely had a lot of interactions, and I felt like this was a good juxtaposition of it. You know, this amazing, you know, super fancy car. I know it's worth a lot of money, and then right next to, a more established tent that was common to see in Portland in the streets. You want to come in? You're welcome. Come on in. You've been hearing me jabbering. Yes. But welcome. No, and there's food in the back. Help yourself. Yeah, for sure. So Wednesday, I went to the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. Along with, of course, just being a science nerd, I got to go into a sub. I was on an aircraft carrier in the Navy, so it was just neat to see the other end of the spectrum. World War II, some things are different, some things are the same. Hot bunking, we can talk about that afterwards, it's weird, but sometimes still happens today. So I did learn a lot with that, which was fun. I also learned a lot about bathroom situations too. So it doesn't happen, and I haven't seen it here. So I guess it's better for me to explain. I was like walking, right, going into the bathroom, and I'm like, oh, that's not the bathroom. I was like, oh, that's not the bathroom. The dude's coming out. He's like, no, that's the bathroom. I'm like, I'm sorry? And I go in there. The stalls all go down to the ground. Male and female use the restrooms. I was like, oh. At first, I'm like, I'm not sure how I feel about that. And then I was like, as a woman that has had to stand in a lot of lines to use the toilet, I'm feeling a little bit better about this payback. You know, now everybody has to stand in line to use the toilet. It's not just me. So I also busted my zipper, so that was a problem, but survived. Haunted Shanghai Tunnel Tour. As you can imagine, and from the photos, it was creepy. I also learned things as I enjoy with traveling, that Shanghai is not just like a place that you can go to, but it's something that happens to you. That, yes, you can be shanghaied. And I thought like Hollywood movies, you know, like you get drunk and you get shanghaied by your friends. No! Apparently it's like an awful tour history where these like young bubbas like this guy Kale would come into town all, you know, coming in to look for work and for booze and yes. Yes, they would get all liquored up, and then some friendly guy would come up to them and be like, here, I'll show them you a good time, get them super drunk. Then they put them down in these cells under Portland. They take off like their shoes, and then they put glass all outside this jail cell that they're in. And then they get stuffed in a boat and sent off to China to work. Many of them never made it back. So you could get shanghaied.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so you can imagine the horror stories and just the general awfulness that happened underneath the streets of Portland. And now, of course, it's a tourist attraction, you know, because, you know, why not?
What were they doing in China? I've heard that for the Navy. That's how they got people to do the Navy, apparently.
Yeah, I mean,
Everyone just signs
some
up.
kind of awful work. I didn't ask too many questions. But I'm like, I don't want to get shanghaied. Like, I got a job.
You have a drink in your hand. Apparently you're asking
There was
for it.
nothing in it. We stopped drinking, so yeah, you know, it seemed appropriate. There's alcohol in the background,
Yeah,
right?
fair.
So it was ginger ale, so yeah. So usually when I go places, especially the little bit that I kind of chattered, I didn't chatter with a lot of people because I didn't see anybody inside the hostel, but I talk a lot to, as a solo female traveler, I talk a lot to the people that are working, you know, the fee counters or the attendants or that, because a lot of times, obviously, that's me, where I work. So I feel really comfortable talking to them. So when I talk to them, it sounds like a lot of people only stay for a couple days, but I stay for a week. So when I stay for a week, I usually try to really, like, get invested in the area. But this was the one day trip that I actually took off-site, out of Portland. Portland does not have the multiple falls that are there. But ironically, it is operated by the Forest Service, which I did not know that they also have unique, beautiful places that they operate. That was a $1 million bathroom facility for the public. So you can imagine some of the chattering that we had about that. So that was super fun. Beautiful sight, of course. And then just this area in general has tons of waterfalls. If you've been to New Zealand, it's like New Zealand, but near Portland. So, waterfalls everywhere. So that was fun. I did go to the Portland Art Museum, because I, of course, love museums too. I thought they had an interesting, it wasn't huge, right? It's not the Met or anything, but they did have a lot of really interesting pieces. So Thomas Moran is a famous artist. He actually opened up the West. did a lot of beautiful paintings of Yellowstone and kind of really opened it up to the public. So it was really neat to see some of his artwork there, and especially in a different context outside of Western art. And then they did have Picasso, they had Monet. So I mean, this was another fun one. I knew I was going there, but I actually got in free because it was under construction. So I didn't get a chance to see the whole thing, just parts of it. So that really warmed the cockles of my frugalness. Of course, gotta support our library friends, right? Yeah. And of course, like I said, I always chat up the staff, like what's the cool stuff to see. And I know it might be a little bit hard because of reflection, but this is like my phone, and this is my finger. So this is tiny. This is like itty little bitty things. And they have these little like cutouts like in their children's section. And just like different like little scenes and features of these like little miniature lives. So of course, as a minimalist, I just loved it. I was like, okay, I can take that home. Just kidding, my husband wouldn't let me. I did make chocolate too, so there was a chocolate experience where you could go learn about chocolate, see how they do chocolate, and then make your own chocolate bar to take home. So that was super fun too. Clearly, I mean, I might say minimalist, but it's maximalist when it comes to chocolate because of like all the flavors, right? That's a lot going on.
You went with sprinkles?
Oh yeah! Why would you not go with sprinkles?
What's the other one?
There was raspberry, there was peppermint, and cinnamon. And then the cinnamon, the sprinkles had a party at the bottom apparently. So, I don't know what happened with that. The Lansu Chinese Tea Garden. So that was actually not too far from where I was staying. And this, of course, is like a very fancy version of how somebody would have lived in China. This wasn't like the commoners, the blue collar like myself. This was like, you know, even like these rocks down here, they even had a story. It was supposed to look like frozen glass, and then petals were on top of it, talking about like the fragility of life and the cycles of the season. Every spot there was like that. They had the koi pond. I mean, they had the ornate artwork everywhere. They had the guy playing those fancy instruments. I'm not sure what it's called. Yes, thank you. You want to get up here, Keel? Maybe you want to present.
I think you're trying for a
Oh, okay. And I also went to the Portland Japanese garden, whereas the Chinese was very small. This was huge. Like this property was massive. It's a little hard to see. I guess I have a little dot. Those are people, but this is one of those Zen gardens, right? And this was just one chunk of it, but there were waterfalls everywhere. There was a little bridge. There was like little homes that you could kind of walk around. They didn't let you walk in them. I tried. So that, of course, like I said, nature brings me back. Food. So as I mentioned, I am frugal. So normally, like when you stay at motels, you get the free breakfast. Lunch, I usually brought snacks so I can like hoof it. You know, I don't have to stop for food. Mm-hmm. So normally, I always splurge for dinner. So that's where Portland is a big foodie scene. That I heard straight from one of the locals. They have like huge trucks that are like, I don't know, a whole block, and you can just walk around, and then different places you can go. So I had the traditional tea experiences where you get the little pot, and then you get another pot, you get the, like the little pouring multiple times. Did that, Russian dumplings, and a Moroccan place too that was downtown. So those were, oh man, okay. Am I going too long? Sorry.
No.
Okay, just wanted to check. Okay, so the good. What do you think some of my good was?
That's a great picture.
Right?
Oh, I would think just being alone, being able to travel alone. I think that's me.
What do you think? What do you think some of the good it could be?
Food, the nature,
Right.
the green.
Valid. Yes, for sure. I mean, getting a
You
different...
didn't go in February when it's raining
Yeah.
and stuff.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. I assumed all the waterfalls, right? That's got to come from somewhere. All the vegetation, especially outside of town, that's got to come from somewhere. So that's true. I mean, it was beautiful. Lots of parks there. There was the food, a lot of like different things to see and do there. You know, the museums that they had there. So I would definitely agree. That was definitely some of the good. All right, Kale, what do you think? if I'm asking you to.
Every household I've ever been into, somebody farts in the middle of the night.
Why aren't you sleeping?
I don't sleep great. So that wasn't great. There's a lot of homeless folks along the river where you were, and they have big old encampments. Those would be the two negative things from Portland, or at least from mine.
What do you think? Do you agree with that?
If it didn't rain, you were incredibly lucky.
Yeah.
It did. I think it drizzled one day, but not anything that I would report as like all day, every day.
Yeah. I was there for a week with my family for Christmas, and it rained every single day.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like it rains all the time.
Interesting. Yeah, that was interesting. Fascinating. So, well, spot on, Kale. Yeah. So truthfully, it was definitely the homelessness. Actually, one day I called it like my mental break day because I had been doing so much of like walking and public transportation. I just got to a point where I'm walking down this street, I'm the only one there, questionable things. A lady was playing with her crack pipe, and ladies are screaming at their demons in the street. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore, I think I'm turning crazy too. So then I got on the bus for like 5 minutes, and then I got off and walked it off and sat in nature, and all was better again. So I did send you that text where Sarah could vouch. She's like, I think I'm turning crazy too. She's like, no, you're not.
I still have it on my phone if anybody wants to see it.
Confirmation of recent.
Sorry, I should have put that up here. But yeah, so that for me is the hardest. And I mean, probably just because I feel fortunate. We live in such a beautiful, blessed community where, we don't see that much of homelessness. There's some, but not like, screaming in the streets kind. Like, have you seen some of that? There's some, but not like, screaming in the streets. So that for me was definitely a struggle. I struggled, unfortunately, with that. And the area, unfortunately, because I'm staying in a hostel, right? It's not like I'm in the great areas. There's a reason it was $184, right? Like for the entire 5 days. I got like discounted rates and everything because I stayed for a long time for 5 days. So it wasn't in a great area. But what was my insight? And so I'm glad that I honestly am doing this now, and it's not immediately afterwards, because I'd be like, never again, that was a dumpster fire. No, just kidding, that wasn't that bad. But, never again, that was a dumpster fire. But in a different perspective, I did a 5-day silent meditation retreat, and it was kind of the same after that. Like initially you're like, 5-day silent meditation retreat, and then time goes by, and initially you're like, So, and I feel like this too, it showed me some things that I didn't know more, of course, about myself more than anything. Is that when a girl gets left in an airport and has to figure out her life from there, she can be okay. Right? Like, that can happen. We can have a good time, figure things out. Not everything will be great, but some things will be great. Figure things out, not everything will be great. You can do more than what you give yourself credit for. And I say that to all of you right now. What you want yourself credit for. But with that being said, too, would or wouldn't you be interested? With that being said, too, this. So I'm curious. If you are interested, raise your hand if you would totally be like, take me to the airport, drop me off, see where I go. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, because when I talk to people about this, they are like, oh, that sounds great, amazing, or get away from the door, not interested. So it is interesting to see a little bit more. But I know you all enjoy travel because you're here tonight. If you hated it, obviously you want to be interested. So with that, that's all I have. Unless you have any other questions or comments or concerns, otherwise I'll just leave you with a quote or two.
Did you go to the Portland bookstore?
I did. I did. But
How did that not get a slide?
Whole city block.
You mentioned the toilet, huh?
I really appreciate it.
outside.
So you wouldn't be the only one in Portland to do that.
So I did go into it, and actually, like, the Starbucks I went to was, like, right across the street from it all the time. I went into it once, but my frugal nature and also the minimalism Like, this is great, but all it is temptation. Like, I love books. I used to work at the Billings Public Library years ago, and that was like crack for me, like especially the new book section. Like, I always went home with more than I should have. So I went in, I had the experience, but then I had to like leave before I did anything dangerous. So it's not, but then I know anymore stuff in my life.
That's understandable.
I know, but
You can also shift the books back to.
yeah, exactly. Oh, see, but then that involves money, and I can't.
You came so far too much, you got lots of money for that.
And I've also tried to get to a point in my life where like books are, it's like the library holds the books. I don't hold books, my home does not hold books, library holds books, right? And that's another way to save money, right? Just borrow from the library. Ask the library. You should ask the library for books, just saying. Well, maybe I shouldn't be saying that, sorry. But yeah, it's, that's how I get books, right? Ebook. That's how I get books.
So you said you like museums that take a history. One thing I love about this area is the museums and the history. I just don't have the time to go all the time, otherwise I would.
That's fair.
But what was your favorite part concerning the museums and the history that you saw? Your favorite part concerning.
I mean, I love like trivia, random facts. And of course, being in the Navy and all that kind of stuff does kind of sway some of that a little bit. They said that there was the people that were in Portland, do you remember Big Pink? That big, like the biggest building they have there? Some of our Los Angeles class action subs were as big as that building. Like lengthwise. So I mean, I love like little stuff like that, or like seeing Thomas Moran and him painting Venice. So I mean, I love stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff that I like. But kind of eclectic, kind of not. Oh, what? Or tell me, what is the secret?
There was a little article that I read that kind of dropped German here that mentioned something about New Zealand, and I was just wondering if you could maybe reveal the accidental adventure on the South Island.
On the South Island?
Maybe because I'm going there in a couple weeks.
Okay, yeah. For sure, yeah. So South Island is New Zealand, definitely do that, yeah. Our favorites were probably, so it depends on your adventure level. Adventure level extreme with us. We went up to Mount Cook, the tallest island, or not the tallest island, the tallest mountain that's on New Zealand. The views there are great. There's a little hut up there that you can stay in. That's super fun, but it's really intense. It's like a ridiculous amount of stairs and that kind of stuff. Milford Falls, 100% do that. The boat tours.
We're going to do the flyover.
Okay.
And the fly cruise.
Oh, okay, definitely, yeah. I love the pancake rocks and blowholes, you gotta do that too. You gotta do pancake rocks and blowholes. So when you're on the South Island, it is, if you're going past Milford Falls, it's further north, kind of near the top of the South Island, kind of on the north side. And that is just like crazy layered rocks that look like pancakes, and then holes that like spew out water. Yep, the excitement depends on what level you're at with the tide. So like, I can't remember if it's low tide or high tide, which one is like a lot more. High tide?
Did you find any grease?
No, I did not look. Or for the Hobbit homes. That's on you. The Hobbit homes?
Yeah.
There you go. You gotta talk to Kale. Kale's been there. Yeah, he knows more about that than I do. You gotta talk to Kale.
You didn't find any grease in the foot. Here's a couple Montana ones.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. Look at you. Surprising. Look at you pulling out little stones like that. That's
They're
fun.
both from the old swimmer.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. Well, thank you. Yeah.
But I enjoyed it, because I've wandered aimlessly most of my life. But I thought my daughter was kind of nuts since she's military.
Oh, sure.
She's military. She went and stayed in a house.
Oh, you're crazy, right? I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, they put it on a high bar for me. I would do it again, but also realizing I probably won't have the same
My
experience.
cousin in New Zealand recommended one close, but we got the right.
Man, you haven't lived until you stay in a hostel, right? Threaten you with a good time, yeah.
So my question is, you did this tour, tour by yourself. How much did you sort of isolate from the folks back home? Like, how much did you, you know, I'm not going to be texting, I'm not going to be calling, I'm not going to be posting stuff on Facebook. How much did you just really immerse yourself in that experience? Yeah.
So, despite what you might see of things, in general, I don't have like this like crazy robust like communication, I guess, community, you know, and I actually don't have any social media outside of Facebook, and it is literally for library programs. And I actually like literally, it's only Facebook for library programs. So, I mean, I did like what I would normally do, but even then, what's normal is I didn't talk to a lot of people from home. So it was very like, in some ways, an isolating experience. But I mean, I did text people, told them where I'm at, let my husband know, and yeah. And so, but outside of that, there wasn't a ton of communication. Yeah. But outside of that, I mean, the silent meditation retreat, that one was nothing. It helped that it was like on the top of the mountain, so you had no service. But yeah, that one was felt that it was like on the top of the mountain, so you had no service. But
Would you do another trip like this?
like that, so that one was planned. That was 2020.
No, not that, like this one, like where you don't have a destination.
You know, there's a part of me that's like, oh, I want to go big. Let's go international. But how do you do that outside of going to an international country and being like, let's go?
But you know what would be even better or more interesting in ways if you could arrange it somehow where you didn't even know the destination, like somehow it was picked for you.
Okay.
And sort of like being Shanghai, but like you get a return ticket.
Right, yeah, like you're coming home, right? You're not dying, right?
You just had a
Better upgrade from Shanghai.
long flight and you're like in China somewhere.
Right,
Like
yeah.
Shanghai's the option
Right,
here.
I know, right? There is a company out there, and it's like, yes, where you will take their survey, you tell them where you've been, what you want to do, what you're not interested in, you give them a dollar amount, and they will do that.
Really?
They send you an envelope, and, well, they let you know beforehand what to pack for weather-wise. They don't tell you where you're going, and then when you get to the airport, you open up the envelope, and it tells you then from there. So there are companies that do that, where it could be stateside, international, if you want to be by the beach or whatever, you pick the parameters and they set you up, so. That's a life lister too on there, but they're just getting expensive, so it hasn't happened yet.
Do you know why the ticket lady sent you to Portland?
She thought it was good. She's like, oh, Portland's fine.
Oh, she's been there.
Yeah, oh, like all the places that she was like rattling off, she'd been there, all of them. She was like,
I mean, you would have had a similar experience in Austin. Very similar except not green.
yeah, a lot of homeless, yeah. I was like, that was another one, like I tried to have like a poker face. I tried to do it for all of them, but there was some stuff that was like, oh my god, like I tried to have like a poker face. I tried to do it, but that's what there was some stuff that.
You got better weather too.
You knew in the airport, it wasn't, you didn't find out till you were on the plane.
Right, because I mean, I had to like get to my gate and that like, right there, go right there, go back. Like, what am I doing? Right there. Crazy. That's so far. That's at least at one point on all my solo adventures. I'm like, there's a point where it hits me like, usually on the plane, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? What did I just do? Yeah.
No 8 to Sacramento. So, what is that on the list?
I mean, those
Feels like a lot of hate to Sacramento.
In September,
Am I missing something?
ironically, those options were all option sheets kind of cycled through. And the biggest one was what was leaving next. What is leaving right now? Or at least, you know, there were, in some instances, it was, you know, like, I was like, oh, what about going there? She's like, oh, they're past boarding. They've already locked the door. So there were some things I didn't see. And she's like, no, you can't do that. And I'm like, okay. So this was the one where I could, you know, basically run to my gate because it was right there and go.
So did you start doing logistics as you were, like, you know you're going to Portland, are you like looking for a hotel? As you get on the plane, or-
No. I mean, well, there wasn't any time.
Okay.
Like, I mean, when I got on the plane, like, everything was happening so quickly. I did try to do like Wi-Fi on the plane.
Sure.
But it wasn't working.
It's
with my
expensive.
phone.
It's expensive. That would mess up your budget.
I know, right? See, look at me. So, but yeah.
I didn't notice a budget line for a gift for your husband. Whoa.
Hey, rocks are free.
Rocks are free.
I did send him a postcard. I did send him a postcard. Sorry, Kyle, if you're watching this, you're the butt of my jokes. Sorry.
So you landed,
You're watching this, you're the butt of my jokes.
was it like,
It was in the morning, it was like 8 or 9.
okay, and you had like 25 minutes from your landing to boarding, is that right?
Yeah, well, for one, I was like walking down the aisle and the first lady was like, there was nothing there, so I had to keep walking. I actually had to talk to somebody to get directions when I was in the airport. And they're like, oh, why do you want to talk to them? And I'm like, I have to get on the first flight out of here. And they're like,
So you didn't check anything, so you didn't have to go get baggage, so you never had to go back to like the original, you never had to go through security to get baggage. Okay. So you never had to go
that's
I was wondering how you did it. But.
right, yeah, that is personally why I love traveling like that, because I never have to worry about lost baggage fees, or I'm told that will probably be changing soon at airlines. You know, all that kind of stuff, that struggle and strife that you get, and then plus, because you have such limited clothes and option, you don't have to think about it. It's like, I'm wearing this or that, that's my options, and then away you go with the world. So for me, it just, it's made sense with everything. So, yeah. Highly recommend it. I'd recommend starting small though. Not necessarily, like, don't do minimalism, that kind of baggage to Iceland on your first time around, right? Like, you know, do a little bit of practice. And we are backcountry campers too. So I mean, for us, it's natural to have everything on a rack, just not like a stove and a tent and so I mean, for us, it's natural to have everything on a rack.
Yeah, that wouldn't make it
Take warm
to
clothes
TSA.
from Uncooked. You take warm clothes.
Yeah, we brought down jackets but like all that can get squished down, you know, in those little plastic bags and all that. And you, like, heads up, if you're ever doing any of that too, you wear all the heavy stuff on the plane. So you wear your jacket, you wear your boots, you do all of that on the plane so you don't have to store it. So that makes it a lot easier.
I guess my biggest fear of something like that would be, you get to a place, there's stuff to do, but you didn't plan anything out, so you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah.
So like, there's a lot of neat places, trails and stuff that I'd be like, oh, you could have done that there. That whole
Yes.
thing outsets that.
Yeah, and that's also a reason why I'm not a fan of this kind of travel, because some of the things I wanted to do were already booked up. They were already booked, they were done, gone, and I was like, oh, that would have been fun, but, so that's why I don't like it either. Like some places, like when you go to New York, if you want to go to the tops of the Statue of Liberty, you have to book that a year in advance. Yes, do that, yeah. It's because it's so cheap and everybody wants to go, but they have limited space. So some stuff you have to plan. Or even like Paris, Eiffel Tower, you have to book that way in advance. You know, so all that kind of stuff, you just, that's how it typically works. Especially if you're looking at like all the touristy things, you know, some of the off-the-beaten path stuff. And I usually, not this one, but like when I went to Niagara Falls, I left one day open, and I talked to the local people, right, the attendants and stuff, and asked them, what's your favorite thing? You know, what's the thing that you're proud of? And for Niagara Falls, that one was the classic Serapis jet boat, wet jet boat. That one, like, most of the workers had said that. Dang it, I have to do that, more money. But,
When we do that with travel, we'll ask that, like you said, ask the locals.
yeah.
You know, or not just the library, other little places, venues that are in that, we've been to Portland, done that.
Yeah.
And then we've done the walking tour around Portland, city tour. But also, you go to a restaurant, we're just looking for the waitress, what's your favorite food?
Right.
And let them, I like this, we'll try it.
Right.
Have an open mind.
Right, yeah, I mean, to me, that's some of the, especially as a solo female traveler, I probably could do a whole presentation, but a little bit that I know is that as a solo female traveler, unless you choose to be alone, people will always talk to you, ask you questions, what are you doing, why are you here, you know, all the things. You are never alone unless you want to be alone. But so that to me is some of the rewarding experiences. Is just some of the amazing people I've met along the way. And they've all been warm and welcoming for the most part. You get some crazies, so for sure.
So
when you stayed in the hostel, you could leave your stuff there. What did you take out with you on your day trips? Did you have a smaller backpack or just a bag or a...
Yeah, it was, like years ago, it was on Oprah's, I'm gonna borrow this, Donna, sorry. It was on Oprah's wish list, and it's like a little bag where it has like two pockets in it, so I could put my wallet and my phone and my charger, and in the back it has a water bottle pocket. So that is what I typically, because sometimes in museums and things, you can't take anything big. And I try to blend in, being a solo female traveler. I don't want to look like a tourist for the most part, and which is most of the time good, but sometimes bad because then people start asking me for directions or inviting me to their church. That happened in New York. A little too good, right? So, but that's usually like what I have for like day trips, is just like something teeny tiny. I do like, actually, I do take like for, when I went to Niagara Falls, I did take this guy, but it was just because it rained a lot there and I had to have a place to put my rain gear. But it was just because, you know, I don't want to wear that, it's like 70 degrees there. Who knew Portland could be so exciting? Just kidding.
Better than Sacramento.
All right, well, thank you all so much for joining us for another Armchair Traveler. So normally Armchair Travelers are on the first Thursday of every month. So this month it was on the second because we were closed on the first Thursday. Next month it's also on the second Thursday because the first Thursday is our annual Black Heritage Evening celebration. So this room will be full. We usually have about 120 people in here, and we have amazing food outside provided by Alexander Worship Temple. All the ladies there cook amazing food, and then we have music and entertainment and history and all sorts of things, so please come out for that. But the next Armchair Traveler is actually our friend Lee Larson in the back, and we are going to travel to Sweden. What are we going to eat? I don't know, it's still a mystery. We'll figure that out. Chocolate! Chocolate, I love it, I'll take it, that works. And then also Lee is doing another one of her Learning with Lee lessons next week. So on Tuesday the 13th, we are going to be here in this room talking about the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, and what all of that meant for the forefathers. So, or founding fathers, whatever we want to call it. Whatever. So we're really excited about that. Learning with Lee is one of our new programs as well, so that's super exciting. And then talking about new programs, because there's always things happening at the library, we are partnering with the Sun River Watershed Group to do stories from the river, stories of conservation, environment, and community. So that is a really exciting speaker series. Our first speaker is Hal Herring. He is an author for a bunch of different outdoor magazines and issues like that. So he's going to come out and just talk about his experiences in the outdoors. We also have Dr. Fausch. He will be zooming in next month to talk about his two books. But his latest book is For the Love of Rivers, which just seems like the best thing to always say. Like, I think I'm just going to say For the Love of Rivers. Because it's very PG, and it works. Yes. But we have a lot happening here at the library, not only for adults, but also for kiddos. You can find all of that on our website, greatfallslibrary.org, or on our Facebook, like Cortney referenced, because that's all Facebook is good for, is events from the library. So thank you all for coming out this evening. I hope that you enjoyed it.